There is a way to understand reality that does not begin with rules, institutions, or theology. It begins with a single statement about how existence works. That statement is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Echad. God is one. This does not mean there is only one God in a numerical sense. It means something much more practical. Reality itself is unified. What looks separate is, at its root, connected. What feels fragmented is being held together by a single source. Once you understand that, everything else becomes grammar. If God is one, then separation is not the truth. It is the condition of the world. Disconnection is not evil, it is the environment. The world is built in such a way that oneness is hidden, not absent. That hiding creates choice, movement, and meaning. So what does oneness feel like when it appears inside a world of separation? It feels like connection. And when connection is present, it registers as warmth. When warmth is present, it produces light. When light is present, life becomes intelligible and meaningful. This is why love is not a metaphor for God. Love is the experience of oneness in a divided world. It is what God feels like when God becomes visible between people. Cold is disconnection. Warmth is connection. Light is visible connection. This is not mysticism. It is lived physics. Now look at the world honestly. What feels broken about it is not the lack of resources or intelligence. It is the lack of connection between people, between actions and meaning, between humanity and its source. That fracture is what Torah calls darkness. So what is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is not primarily a command or a test. It is a reconnection event. It restores flow where something has become isolated. It reconnects the physical to the spiritual, the individual to the whole, the moment to its purpose. That is why mitzvot generate light. They don't symbolize holiness. They reintroduce connection into places where it has gone missing. From this perspective, life is not random. It is a mission-based environment. The world is a place where oneness is concealed so that humans can participate in revealing it. The job is simple to state and lifelong to practice. Turn separation back into connection. That is what doing God's will means. Not obedience for its own sake, but alignment with the underlying direction of reality. When your actions increase connection, you are moving with the grain of existence. This is where meaning enters the picture. Meaning is not something you invent. It is something you discover when your actions line up with the architecture of the world. When love increases, warmth spreads. When warmth spreads, light appears. When light appears, the world becomes more like what it was meant to be. That is heaven on earth, not a place, but a condition of relationship. But there is a constraint built into the system. Connection requires space. Love cannot move through a person who is full of themselves. Light cannot enter a vessel that is already packed with ego, control, fear, or the constant demand for self-centered outcomes. This is why self-sacrifice is essential, not as suffering, but as clearance. Self-sacrifice means stepping out of the way so something larger can pass through you. It is the willingness to choose connection over control, giving over grasping, presence over performance. Greed in this system is not just about taking too much. It is about insisting that reality revolve around you, and that insistence blocks the flow of light. When a person makes room, even a little, the system responds. One act of love creates warmth. Warmth creates light. Light makes the next act of love easier. This is the secret of the Chanukah oil. Once the process of reconnection begins, it sustains itself. That is why fixing the world does not require grand gestures. It requires people who are willing to become conduits instead of obstacles. People who allow God's oneness to become visible through how they live, give, and relate. This is what it means to bring Shema into the world. Not by teaching slogans, not by argument, but by living in such a way that connection becomes undeniable. This is not a new language. It is the oldest one there is. You've learned its first word. The rest is fluency. If you want, next logical steps are clear. Diagram this visually. Turn it into a short booklet primer. Structure it as a 3-part teaching series, or anchor each section with classic sources to make it yeshiva tight. What you're holding now is a framework, not a rant, and frameworks are how ideas survive.